I have over 25 years of real estate experience dedicated to coaching and sharing knowledge with realtors and consumers. Join me and let's take this to the next level. So today I want to talk about the power of asking. When you're working with a buyer, it's super important to know that it's your job to ask. So as a real estate agent, we need to be good at asking. And so what I mean by that is we use I recommend a system that where the buyer fills out a checklist, wants and needs checklist, if you will, and we bring that checklist along when we're showing property. And when the buyer finishes looking at a house, I would ask, how does that house match up to your checklist? Another question like it is, could you see yourself living in that house? And so I think when we're asking questions like that, we're getting the buyers to really think it through. And with that, I think we're having the buyer really test whether this is a home that they could live in. Once we get a positive response from a buyer, yes, I see myself living in the home, the next logical ask is, do you want to go to the next step? Do you want to write it up? And this by asking that, you're going to make progress with the buyer. When I first got into the business as a real estate agent, I remember showing property half the day and 20 houses to a buyer, and then at the end of the tour, I couldn't tell whether they liked the house or not, or any of the houses that we'd seen. And I'd say something like, because I didn't know, I'd say something like, well, if you've got some time next weekend, I can do that. I can go out again. And the absolute miss with that is I didn't ask the question, could you see yourself living in this home? And I also, by the way, didn't use this homebuyer checklist system that I strongly recommend everybody use. And so I didn't really have a sense for whether these people wanted to actually buy or whether they liked the home. So the beautiful part is now with the checklist and could you see yourself living in the home? It's a no-brainer. They say yes, we could. So then the next logical question and the ask is, do you want to go to the next step? Do you want to write it up? And so that's basically the power of the ask.
Do you think that sometimes they're, by the agent taking the lead and asking these questions, sometimes there's a little fear around, like you were saying, like, oh, we'll just go out and see you next weekend versus asking, but also too for the buyers, a lot of times they have the fear of writing an offer and taking the step. So these questions and just the ask helps them tremendously.
Yeah, no question. Especially a first-time home buyer, they're afraid, they're scared. Mm-hmm. They need somebody to ask them, and they need somebody to push them a little bit, give them a little nudge toward, hey, the next step is that we go write an offer on this if you like it. And a lot of agents are a little bit timid to say, let's do this. And that's my experience in that story I told you. Is like in the beginning, I didn't really know exactly how to get it. The power of the ask. Yeah. So you got to be willing to ask. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Be sure to click the link and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.